What's going on? It's Astronaut H, and this is the What More Do You Want Network. Now, this video is a post-game review of tonight's matchup between the Chicago Bulls and Philadelphia 76ers. So, of course, as you guys know, this is my Bulls report. So let's get right into the video. This is the first matchup this year between the Sixers and the Bulls. The Bulls had a pretty much hard time with Philly the entire last season. Overall, honestly, it was just at times the Bulls did look outmatched last year, but these are two teams that you could see actually having a playoff matchup, and somewhere down the line, with playoff implications, you could see that happening with these two teams. So going head to head anyway. So at the beginning of the game, the Bulls in the first, they were very lax on defense. That's been a problem for them in the early parts of the season. And as I always talk about, you have to create good habits early, right? Especially early parts of the season. You have to create good habits, because if you don't, those habits will linger on into the later parts of the season, and then you'll get those type of things are what your team is going to be known for. So the Sixers came out and they were hitting on all cylinders offensively. They were shooting and passing the ball very, very well to start the game, and then they ended up opening up a 12-point lead very, very early. So again, it was just the Bulls took it. It seems to me it takes the Bulls a little longer. I mean, they did play last night against San Antonio, so this was a back-to-back, but it just seemed like it took the Sixers a little longer than Philly to get ramped up for this game. And I think when you face off versus an opponent that that is in the same, conference as you, and, you guys can ultimately see each other later on down the line, you have to be ramped up. Joel Embiid is coming into the building. James Harden is coming into the building. You have a plethora of other players on the other side with Philly that you're going to have to match, intensity and drive, PJ Tucker and guys like that, Montrezl Harrell and guys like that. So again, the Bulls look sluggish early. So Billy Donovan decides to go to the bench. He decides to put in Dalen Terry. He decides to put in Javonte Green. He decides to put in Derrick Jones Jr. early, because tonight we didn't have Ayo Dosunmu or Andre Drummond. So the Bulls were a little thin as far as the front court went tonight, and you've seen that at times. Also, like I said, at the guard spot. So Dalen Terry did get some minutes, but he was looking like a deer in headlights early. I would have liked to see more, especially early in the game. Vucevic didn't get a lot of early paint touches, but he was coming into his own as far as rebounding was concerned, because it's one thing when you do look at Philly, Embiid don't grab a lot of rebounds. He plays a lot of perimeter based. He can bang and go to the paint, but a lot of his game is predicated on him being somewhat around the perimeter, mid-range, and things like that. And Vucevic was able to grab a lot of early rebounds offensively and defensively. So the Sixers, they started running. They bench really got in when they went to Melton, and they went to George and Yang and a host of other players. They started just opening up the lead basically in the first half, and the Bulls give up another 30-point quarter, which again attests to the defense, allowing threes, allowing straight lanes, allowing straight drives to the rim, and things like that. Perimeter defense is not a calling card for the Bulls at this early part of the season. But again, they are missing, they were missing Ayo, and they are missing Lonzo Ball. But you can't hang your hat on constantly saying Lonzo, Lonzo, Lonzo. Yes, he's a big deal, but you only could talk about who actually was out there tonight. And the Bulls definitely gave up, as a team collectively, 37 points in the first quarter. So the Sixers end up being up 36-22 after one. In the second, the Sixers bench stay hot from three, but the Bulls go on a 9-0 run. Now this is where I seen the Bulls came in and started ramping things up. They started playing with a sense of, okay, urgency now. You've seen that they were engaged, Zach, DeMar. You've seen it, Vucevic. Guys started playing. I love when Javonte Green gets in there because he adds that spark off the bench. And that's what you need. You need somebody to bring the cavalry off the bench, so to speak, with the second unit. And I love that. The Bulls caused 5 Philly turnovers in the second quarter. And end up being down 8 after being down really, really big in the first half. They ended up with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go, down 8. And then they got the lead down to 3, but ultimately the Sixers went up and they were up 8 at the half. To start the third, the Bulls opened up with a few empty trips, and that was because of bad man movement, player movement, and passing. And you can't do that, especially when you're down in a game. So that was how they opened it up. Now the Bulls begin to honestly play a better brand of basketball when the second half came. I liked what I saw. I don't know if it was what was spoke about in the locker room at halftime or what, but in the second half, the Bulls started playing a brand of basketball that you seen earlier in the week. And ultimately the Bulls ended up leading in the game, and they get the lead down to 2. Then the Bulls they're down 3 after going up for a few in the third. Now the fourth quarter came, and that's when basically you seen some of the best basketball from both teams. Now, granted, the Sixers did play last night and they beat the Raptors, and the Bulls did play last night and they lost to the Spurs. But in that fourth quarter, I really saw two teams really, really, really scraping together a win, respectfully, for both their teams. I looked at what Philly was able to do. Harden didn't have one of his best games, but I looked at what Harris was able to do. I looked at what Harrell was able to do. I looked at what Embiid was able to do. And on the flip side, what the Bulls were able to do also, just looking at DeRozan picking his spots, of course, getting to where he wanted, looking at Zach, he looked really good, especially defensively. It was this one sequence in the fourth quarter where he played Harden probably as best as you could play any guard of that caliber, and then it led to the game being really, really tight and really, really close down the stretch. Now, the play that I'm going to talk about is the play that basically iced the game. So you had a few seconds. It was tied at 109. It was tied at 109, I believe. And if you saw the game, you saw this play. So Harden had the ball at the top of the key, and Embiid was to his left. Embiid was to his left, I believe, yes. So Harden is dribbling at the top. AC is on him. Caruso is guarding him. So I don't know why Vucevic decided to show and trap Harden and leave Embiid wide open, but he shouldn't have did that, and that left Embiid open on the right wing for 3, and he ended up knocking it down. In that instance, that is not something you should get accustomed to doing, right? I believe Alex Caruso is a very good one-on-one defender. I believe that he would have been able to hold his own in that series with Harden. But again, Embiid ended up knocking down the 3. The Bulls do get the ball in return, but they don't get a chance to tie the game. They end up fouling, and basically that was the end of the game. The Bulls lose tonight to the Philadelphia 76ers, 114-109. The Bulls are now 3-3 at 500 on the season. I mean, when you look at the box score, Patrick Williams, who, again, he defers at times, but he had 9 points, 3 rebounds. DeMar DeRozan, 24 points, 3 rebounds. Vucevic had a really, really, really great game. I believe he shot somewhere 5 of 7 from 3, and he had 23 points and 19 rebounds. Zach LaVine could have did better tonight. He had 20 points and 2 rebounds and 3 assists, but they are trying to keep Zach's minutes. They're watching his minutes per se. There was times where they had him on the bench tonight. From the bench, you really didn't see too much. Dragic had 2 points tonight. Derrick Jones Jr. had 6. Green had 9. Kobe White had 7. He could have shot the ball a lot better tonight. He went 1 for 4 from 3. 3 turnovers. The Bulls racked up a whole lot of turnovers tonight, and like I said, these are habits you don't want to form. So as far as Philly is concerned, Tobias Harris with 13, PJ Tucker with 8, Embiid with 25 and 7, Harden with 15 and 11, Maxey with 14 after having 44 the previous game, Melton with 10 off the bench, Jordan Yang with 15 off the bench. And ultimately, I think tonight was just a show and tell of what the Bulls have to do better. You know, you can't, especially when you're playing teams of this caliber, you can't go out there and just turn the ball over. You can't go out there and just play lackadaisical at the start of the game. You really got to be ramping it up. Zach has to be better. You know, I like what I seen from Vucevic tonight. I hope that's a continuation in the next game. That'll be Tuesday, and that versus the Brooklyn Nets. So we will see how that goes. Of course, we all know with the Nets, you have Kyrie, you have KD, Ben Simmons, and a host of other players. So we will see how that turns out on Tuesday. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about tonight's game. Don't forget to drop a comment down if you're a Bulls fan. If you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan, I would love to hear from you guys. As always, it's greatly appreciated. This is the What More Do You Want Network. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell to know anytime a video is being uploaded to this channel. And I catch you guys on the next video.